So what I wanted to share with you is what each type of interviewer tends to care about. And I'm going to use like startup, mid-sized company lingo, but this also applies to large company interviews, especially for leadership manager roles, leadership roles at larger companies. This also applies. You'll have to just change the language. All right. So here's you in a PM leadership interview. Okay. Now this is generally the set of roles, and adapt this to larger company if you need to. But this is generally the set of roles you'll speak with. Does this make sense? All right, I'll repeat. Not everyone is a good interviewer of PM leaders. So at senior levels, you need to understand what they are looking for, whether or not they have good questions to figure it out, and then guide the conversation in a way that they get what they're looking for. Yeah, I'm ignoring the recruiter because if you can't clear the recruiter screen, it's like pointless. It's like that is very basic stuff. So I'm ignoring that. All right. Because you have to understand the bar for the recruiter screen is never high. The recruiter is looking for what? What is the No, in the interview, what is the recruiter looking for? Yeah, that the hiring manager should not get upset at the recruiter, like, why are you sending me these people? That's the bar the recruiter wants to clear. Does this make sense? This is not like some really advanced stuff. Like, you have to understand this stuff. The recruiter is simply looking to make sure that they are bringing candidates that the hiring manager will not get upset. This is why you're wasting my time. That's it. Okay. So yes, I have not rendered recruiters here, but again, if that is a problem, then that's an entirely different problem. Okay. So what I'm talking about is how do you actually get the job, right? Not like that you clear the recruiter screen. Okay. These are the roles you'll typically be speaking with in intermediate and advanced rounds in interviews. Okay. So what you have to understand is you have to give these people what they're truly looking for, even if their questions are just nonsense questions. Okay. Just tell me about a time when you had a conflict with a coworker and what did you do? It's just like stupid questions. People ask stupid questions in interviews. Doesn't matter. You can't change their questions. Never once should you say that this is a stupid question. Never once should you even indicate any disgust or any judgment of the question. You should answer every single question with all the enthusiasm, all the gusto that you can gather. Okay. So this is what you do. Okay. Now, this is the most important part of this slide. So what are VCs and board looking for? VCs and board, they don't have taste in this actual product craft. All right. So they use proxies. So the proxies that VCs and board use is your track record, because you can't get blamed for bringing in a candidate or hiring a candidate who has a good track record. Okay. So when you talk to VC's board, and again, if it's a larger company, then it's usually the SVP, the final interview, right? What you want to do is you want to make sure they understand your track record. They understand that you have a track record of making impact. Okay, so that's one thing. Second, usually VCs and board, they're looking for somebody who's great at execution. Because when they are bringing in somebody senior, it's usually because the founder or the CEO has reached their limit on execution. Things have become very complex. So you also want to share you are the answer to the execution woes this company or org is facing. Okay. And lastly, they're looking for complementary skills to the leader who's going to be your hiring manager, meaning they don't want a complete carbon copy, a clone of the founder or the hiring manager. They want somebody with complementary skills. So when you talk to the VCs and board, make sure you highlight through your answers that you do have that complementary skill, whatever those complementary skills might be. Okay. So that's what you try to, that's the message you, through your answers, that's the message you are, it doesn't matter what questions they ask you. Of course, give them the impression that you answered their question. But as you answer the question, make sure that these three things are clear. At the end of the interview, these three things should be clear to the VCs or the board. Next, cross-functional peers. XFN is cross-functional. All right. So examples here are head of engineering, who's going to be your counterpart, engineering manager, tech lead, design manager, senior designer, research lead, sales lead, marketing lead, etc. Okay. Do you think these people know how to evaluate a head of product or a senior product leader? No, of course they don't. So what are they actually looking for? What they are looking for is they are looking to understand, does this person have empathy with my function? So through your answers, you have to convey that you absolutely understand the challenges of the marketing function. that you absolutely understand the challenges of the sales function. You absolutely understand the challenges of the design function, and so on and so forth. You have an understanding and appreciation of those challenges. Okay, so that's the empathy part. Second is this person needs to feel like we will have a high degree of alignment. I, the head of design, I, the head of sales, I, the head of customer success, whatever, that if we hire this person, the product function will be very aligned with my own function. I did not say 100% agreement. I'm merely talking about alignment. So this person needs to feel confident at the end of the conversation that yes, we are going to have a high degree of alignment. Because why is that? Why does that matter? Because what is the biggest frustration for these cross-functional people? What is the biggest frustration for these other functions? Yeah, like the biggest frustration is like they don't understand the bigger picture. They don't understand. We are not aligned, right? Goals are not aligned. We're not on the same page. So if you come across as the solution to that problem, which is, okay, if we hire this person, there's going to be great alignment, they are going to love it. Okay. And then lastly, again, because they don't have a formal basis for actually testing your actual skills, they are going to use your track record as a proxy for that. Okay, so make sure they understand the track record, the impact you made. Okay, so if you do this well in a cross-functional peer interview, here's what I've found. Moments after they get off the call with you in this interview, they are going to ping the hiring manager on Slack, and they're going to say, oh my gosh, we should just hire this person. Okay, that is the effect you will have if you do this well. All right. Now, your team. Now, when I mean your team, I generally mean people who will report to you. But even if this is not a manager role, because I know some of you here are not managers, you're senior ICs, etc. Right? So even if it is not a manager role, it applies if it's the broader engineering team or whatever. Okay. What is your team looking for? So your team is looking for these three things: clarity, empowerment, and growth. Okay. So again, all of this just requires simple empathy. Like, what is the biggest problem for like PMs in some team that is growing? What is the biggest problem? Yeah, they feel like there's no direction. Exactly. Especially if they're hiring somebody, it's like they feel like they're getting pulled in 50 different directions. So you have to come across as somebody who's going to be, again, you have to convey this in your answers. You have to come across as somebody who's going to bring a lot of clarity, because that's what PMs will appreciate. Okay. Now you also have to understand another thing about PMs. PMs are highly competitive. Okay. And in some cases, even cutthroat. So think about it. Is the most ambitious and, let's just say, very competent PM on the team going to be happy that a manager is getting hired above them, or unhappy? Happy or unhappy? Yes. How do you overcome this? Because you know what some of these cutthroat PMs do? You must have seen this. What do they do in interview processes where their boss is getting hired? What is their feedback usually? Yeah, they will purposely give negative feedback. They'll try to, I've even seen well-meaning PMs otherwise, like basically trying to sabotage the process because they don't want to get layered. But of course, the senior vice presidents, the CPOs, they know this. So they discount some of their feedback, saying, of course, he's going to say that or she's going to say that. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. So what your job is to preempt this. See, this is what empathy is. You have to understand this stuff. Real empathy is to understand where a person is coming from without judging them. Okay, to truly understand an individual and not judge them, not pass judgment. All right. So what you need to convey in your discussions with them is that even though you will be coming in as a manager of theirs, you are all about empowerment. And you are, in fact, if you get hired, they are going to have more empowerment, not less. And lastly, you need to come across as somebody who will be sincerely invested in their growth. Okay? So that's with the team. And then lastly, with the hiring manager, the founder, exec, CEO. Look, if they have taste, if this is a good company, if this is a tier 1 or tier 2 company, you have to show product insight. You have to show insight. You have to show some degree of mind meld, meaning you have to show to this person that over time that like you can complete each other's sentences. That means you have to kind of align at their level. Okay. You have to like try consciously to gel with their personality. All right. So you will have to make that change. Don't expect them to make that change. And then lastly, you also have to show complementary skills, because that's why, again, that they are hiring someone.